And let's head straight over to Liverpool at Aintree, and Matthew Hill is on the line. Good evening again, Matthew.
G'day, Joel. How are you?
Great, thanks. I bet you're doing better, Butts. And how's the atmosphere going now?
It's fantastic, Joel. We've got about 70,000 people here now, and the race is around about, well, what have we got? About 15 minutes away. The 40 of them are in the yard. In fact, they're leaving the yard now, and it's getting very exciting now. Terrific race coming up.
How have the other races been going so far?
We've had a couple of controversial races. We actually had the feature steeplechase race other than the Grand National run earlier on today. That was the race over the 5,000 metres in our language, the Miguel Novices steeplechase, and there was actually a protest in that. Tony McCoy finished second in that, so he's quite okay. He actually had a fall. England's the leading jockey yesterday. He's quite okay to ride one of the favourites now, Blowing Wind, after that race today. What
about the betting? The favourite is Bow, is it, or any on the track?
At this stage, there's a couple of them in the betting. Ad Hoc has been one of the favourites leading right up to the race for quite some time. Also Bow, and there has been strong support for Paris Pike. And, of course, the other one in the betting, Blowing Wind, who's been up there all the way. So Ad Hoc and Blowing Wind will just about start equal favourites. You can get about 10-1 here on track, and it's just going to be an outstanding contest, simply because they're a very even lot. Some suggest that this race, should be 20-1 the field. It's that open.
Yeah, for sure. How's the weather and the track? Is it holding up okay?
Track is rock hard, and the weather is just perfect, absolutely perfect. Sun's out, crowd is huge, and I would be tipping we'll probably lose about 5 or 6 runners at that first fence, because it's going to be a very hectic run to that first jump. They've only got about 100 metres to the first jump, so it'll be hectic and quite rough as well.
All right, well, you enjoy it over there. I'm sure you will. And
I certainly will. It's terrific to be here, and the horses are just coming onto the track now, so we're not too far away from the Grand National.
All right, thanks a lot, Matthew. You take it easy over there, and a safe trip home when you do come home.
Thanks, Joel. Thank you.
There he is, Matthew Hill, of course, well known to our audience here on 2KY, and he is over there at Liverpool at Aintree for the Grand National. Grand National around 11 minutes away. Also around 11 minutes away, the next event from the Cannington Greyhounds. The opening figures: 1 Dirty Dishes, 3.10, 2 Real Passion, 4.20, 3 Harnett Bell, 5...
2 riderless horses are there in front of him. Coming stack, he's pushing Red Rum. The excitement here.
This is a replay.
Red Rum has done it for a 4th time. Red Rum, the coast of Aintree, the publisher on the course. Aintree is going mad.
1977, and Red Rum, murder spelt backwards, killing off the opposition by 25 lengths for a hat-trick of wins never equalled before or since. Such was Red Rum's affinity with Aintree. The racecourse authorities agreed for him to be buried there, and his grave is situated at the winning post. Where else? It's not only the horses, though, who've had to call on nosebags full of courage.
When I was told I had cancer, I promise you I was absolutely petrified. I thought, well, I'll just go home and carry on riding, and hopefully I'll get killed on a racecourse.
Less than 18 months after being struck down, Bob Champion got the leg up on Aldeniti in the 1981 National.
Can Bob Champion keep going? It's Aldeniti from Scotland, Mr. Royal Mail at 3-1. They've got 25 yards to go. Aldeniti wins it for Bob Champion. Scotland Mr. second. Royal Mail third. 3-1 is 4.
You can hear all the noise at the racecourse, but when you're out there being a jockey and you're hard at work, you've only got one thing on your mind. And I promise you, in my mind, I could have heard a pin drop. It wasn't until I'd pulled up, then you hear all the people shouting and screaming. And that's a great sensation.
The most stirring of the many emotional tales generated by the race, which began in 1839 as the Grand Liverpool, and which, world wars apart, has been run every year since. Well, almost.
Goes as the starter. There you go. And it's another false start. It's another false start. They're going to be recalled. Well, words defy me. The 1993 Grand National seems fated. Somebody's going to jump the first fence. Lee McKenzie, what's happening up front?
And we might just break in there because we need to update you on the scores that are happening in the Premier League. And Arsenal now 1, Tottenham are up 0 rather. Arsenal 1, Tottenham 0. Bolton Wanderers 2.
Red Marauder leading by 3 lengths from Smarty. The whole field distilled down to these 2 brave horses and quite extraordinarily fearless jockeys.
40 horses started out, only 2 finished, and the winner, Red Marauder, was 33-1. But that's Aintree, and whoever wins this afternoon, there's bound to be another story to tell. For at Aintree, there always is.
And that was Mike Costello with that report. The race off in just over 6 minutes from now. Let's have a look at the Premiership. And there's been another goal at the Reebok Stadium. It was Bolton 1, Ipswich 0. Let's
Close at the Grand National, and back to Sports World with Russell Fuller.
Here on the jump racing circuit, in fact, described this week as the patron saint of jump racing. She's going to be much missed.
Now, we haven't talked much about the bet.
On the jump racing circuit, in fact, described this week as the patron saint of jump racing. She's going to be much missed.
Now, we haven't talked much about the betting so far, Julian, so can you fill us in on that?
Yes, joint favourites at the moment, Flowing Wind, the mount of Tony McCoy, who's been in the race 6 times and has failed to complete on 5 occasions, so better luck today, Tony. Ad Hoc is 10-1, which is a very fancied runner. Beau, who was in the lead last year, if you remember, until Carl Llewellyn lost his reins at the 17th fence. He's an 11-1 shot, as is Paris Pike. Samuel Wilderspin at 12-1, and it's then 16-1 King's Mark and What's Up Boys, and those are the leading few in the betting.
And does the ground particularly favour any of these horses?
Well, yes, you could say it favours most of those in that first part of the betting, with a possible exception of King's Mark, who traditionally likes the ground quite heavy. But his trainer is quite confident that he will actually go on the ground today. But I think when we get to the off in a few moments' time, I would expect the favourite to be McCoy's mount, Blowing Wind.
And the weather there is quite exceptional. There must be a tremendous atmosphere at Aintree today.
Lovely atmosphere, great build-up to what is my favourite race of the year. Huge crowd, the Liverpool people turn out in force, and believe me, some of the girls look absolutely magnificent this afternoon. There's plenty of scope for spotting the fillies as well as the colts today.
And there's this big debate, isn't there, about the best race in Britain. Some say the Cheltenham Gold Cup is better than the National. What do you think?
Oh, I think the Gold Cup is the purest race, Alex. All the horses start at the same weight. Today is a handicap. It's much more of a lottery, as we were saying earlier. It's more fun, if you like. The Gold Cup's quite a serious race. This is treated as more of a fun race. But it's the one all the jockeys want to win. Every jockey you speak to in the weighing room, his ambition is to win the National, and that's usually well above winning the Cheltenham Gold Cup.
Yes, it's often you see them in tears afterwards, isn't it? It's a high-class field this year, isn't it? And I know you don't. You may have had a bet yourself today, Julian. But who in particular has taken your fancy?
Well, I like Paris Pike. I think he's going to jump and stay. He's been trained specifically for this race. He's owned by Ivan Straker, who, when he was with Seagram, helped to save the race. I think he's going to go well, and his stable companion, Asco, he's going to go well. Ad Hoc is a fancy of mine, and for a real outsider, well, I like Bindaree, each way for the Nigel Twiston Davis team, who won a few years ago with Earth Summit.
And we heard about the ground before. A couple of the jockeys were talking about it. They were a little bit concerned. I mean, is it a concern? I mean, are we likely to see a number of injuries because the ground is so firm?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. It's good jumping ground. I was talking to Mick Fitzgerald earlier. He described the ground.
Just breaking away from the BBC there to update the cricket. 3 for 233 in the 34th over.
As I say, it's the best ground it could be.
And anticipation high for a fantastic race at Aintree. Do you expect a close finish today?
Yes, I do. I think it'll be a very close finish. 4 or 5 horses vying for it over the last. It's one of the best moments of the racing year when they circle around here at the start. 40 horses ready to charge down.
OK, well, thanks to Julian Armfield. The race, we think, is just about to get off. The horses at the start line. We can now join our commentator for the race, Lee Mackenzie.
To be one of the first to jump off by the looks of it, with Inish Cara and Samuel Wilderspin. He's been well back today. Latest news of betting with Rob Knopfman as they
still blowing wind, clear favourite at 8-1, 10-1 Ad Hoc and David's Lad, 11-1 Bow and Paris Pike, 12-1 Samuel Wilderspin and What's Up Boys, 16-1 Smarty, 18-1 Kingsmark, 20-1 Marlborough, 22-1 Alexander Banquet, Axo and Bindery, 25-1 Bar Those as they line up.
And this is the second attempt at a line. The first one completely broke down, so they've had to come in again. Of course, the difficulty here is you've got 40 horses, and you can't afford, if you're the starter anyway, not to give them all the best possible chance. Axo and Streamstown and Inish Cara right in the front line there with Ad Hoc and Bindery. And away they go for the 2002 Grand National. What's Up Boys is settled in the rear, along with Jeddah and Yora Gooden and Nicky D. But as they head to the Melling Road, Streamstown is the first to go on from Inish Cara. Alexander Banquet very fast on the outside. Axo, Red Arc and Lyrene Wonder and Ad Hoc chasing them too with Marlborough. And then Mealy Moss in a good position, and the last fling is out very wide with Wicked Crack as they cross the Melling Road. Here's Ian Bartlett.
Coming down to fence number 1, the last fling is just going to be about the leader, and Carry On Harry goes down. Wicked Crack is a faller, and there's quite a few gone at the first fence. Looks as if Jeddah might well have been down there. In at the top is down. Wicked Crack's a faller. Carry On Harry has also gone. Logician was a faller. Goganard was down at the first, and also Red Arc was a faller there as well. They come to number 2. They're all over it safely. Here's the big ditch now coming up. Supreme Charm and the last fling together from Mealy Moss Celibate, blowing wind. David's Lad was next in the field from Spot the Difference and What's Up Boys. Then Max Magic Inish Cara next from Ad Hoc, who's towards the inside with Alexander Banquet. Then Kingsmark just in behind these is Samuel Wilderspin as they go over fence number 4. What's Up Boys is in mid-division. The back marker is Smarty, jumped out very slowly indeed. Samuel Wilderspin was a faller at that one, and Nicky D is also out of the race. Here's Dave Smith.
Heading on down to fence number 5, Supreme Charm has just a fractional lead at that 5th fence from the last fling. We've lost one at the back of the field. Irish Blur has a faller at that fence, but they're heading down towards Beaches. The front 2 are nicely clear at the moment. They are Supreme Charm and the last fling. They've got a good 7 or 8 lengths to the others as they come over Beaches, and the last fling landed in front then, but only by a half a length to Supreme Charm. Behind the runners, no casualties at all at Beaches this time, and they head off then towards the Foynaven fence, and the last fling has the lead from Supreme Charm. They're 4 or 5 lengths clear from Mealy Moss, and then comes Celibate 3rd and 4th, and they're followed further back by Bow, who's got a good handy position at the moment. Smarty is tailed off, heading now off towards the Canal Turn on this first circuit, and just in front is the last fling, who's got an inside position as they make that Canal Turn first circuit from Supreme Charm over in 2nd place. Then comes Celibate, Mealy Moss behind runners with Bow, and they're then followed by Ad Hoc, David's Lad, and Inish Caro's just behind the pace as well, heading off toward Valentine's for the first time, and the last fling's now 4 or 5 lengths clear off the jumping Valentine's, heading off towards the next. Here's Padder Flanagan.
Yes, the last fling making a great running in this race so far, and he comes down towards the next one clear. The last fling towards the centre from Supreme Charm, and then comes Celibate and Mealy Moss close up as they come on now towards the next, number 11, and still the last fling takes them along to Supreme Charm. Celibate there towards the inside, and wider out that Bow going quite well. Mealy Moss jumped out towards the inside, followed then by David's Lad. Wider out on the track then comes Gogrinar as they go past us now down towards the 12th. The last fling, the leader. The last fling lands in the lead by a couple of lengths to Supreme Charm. Behind Supreme Charm on the inside is Celibate, followed then by Mealy Moss on the inside. Wider out then is Bow, followed by Bindery. Very wide out is David's Lad, followed then by Majed. Behind Majed then towards the centre of the track, towards the inside rather, I can see Bindery as they race down now past the Melling Road, and it's over to Lee Mackenzie.
With the last fling leading them back onto the racecourse from Supreme Charm and Celibate. A lot of casualties early on.
These out of the race, Carry On Harry, Wicked Crack. In at the top, Logician, Red Arc, Samuel Wilderspin, Nicky D and Iris Blur.
And racing now towards the next one. This is fence number 13. The last fling's been jumping brilliantly in front. He's got a loose horse alongside him. Bow and Celibate and Supreme Charm are in hot pursuit as they come over this one. Last fling not too good there, but got away with it. Mealy Moss is running next, and then Bindery along the inside. Marjed is next. Inish Cara is right in the middle of the bunch. Blowing Wind is just outside those. David's Lad is making a forward move. Then Royal Predicators, and Bow is gone! gone. Bow is gone at the 14th. One of the fancied runners out of the race. The last fling still leads, though. He was the only casualty there. Mertzman is the back marker at this stage with Manx Magic. Now they come onto the chair fence. This is number 15. The last fling asked for a big one at the chair, and he got it. Celibate over second with Supreme Charm. Then David's Lad travelling very well in fourth. Margid next, then Bindery and Mealy Moss. Then creeping up the inside, Ad Hoc getting closer. Royal Predator and Blowing Wind. Then Spot the difference from Kingsmark going midfield. There is still there as they pass us now. Jeddah's still in the race as they clear the water, and going out on the next circuit. Then What's Up Boys, Streamstown next as they go left-handed. Then Birkdale heading off towards the Melling Road. Behind Birkdale then is Super Frankie, then You're a Good, and well back is Axo. A few loose horses crashing through the running rails there. Lyrene Wonder is still going too. Manx Magic is just about the back marker. No, Mertzman still going last of all. Won't be long before he pulls up over the Melling Road back to Ian Bartlett.
And I can tell you, Smart is pulled up. Also, first time round, Marlborough and Struggles Glory were both fallers at fence number 1. They come to it again now as number 16 with the last fling, with a couple of loose horses around him from Supreme Charm. He's over it safely. He's about 6 lengths clear. David's Lad and Celibate on the outside from Blowing Wind. Royal Predica's still there. Next in the field is Kingsmark. Then comes Birkdale. Ad Hoc, and then Spot the difference towards the inside. Bindery and Millie Moss still in a good position as they jump the next plain fence. Getting over that one, and Super Frankie was a faller at that. They come to the big ditch then. The last fling out in front. He's 6 or 7 clear. For David's Lad is moved into second from Supreme Charm, Bindery, Royal Predica, Blowing Wind, Celibate, Melly Moss, Ad Hoc, Jeddah. Then comes Lyrene Wonder from You're Garden, Streetonstown. What's Up Boys next in the field, and behind this Spot the difference. Birkdale towards the back. Inish Cairo next behind him as they come over the next plain fence right at the back. Axo looks like being pulled up, and Manx Magic I think was a faller there as we rejoin Dave Smith.
They confirmed Manx Magic was a fall at the previous fence. They come in towards the plain one before Beaches, and the last fling's lead being reduced all the time by David's Lad, who's travelling really well in second. Bendery under a tight hold close behind him in third. Then comes Supreme Charm, never really been out of the first 3 or 4, heading off towards this Beaches fence. At the back of the field, I can tell you that Lyrene Wonder was a fall at the previous fence. Over Beaches, Bindery just jumped to the front from the last fling, and this circuit, we've lost one at the back. Margid, the only casualty at Beaches in the race of the Grand National 2002, as they head off then towards Foynaven, and Bindery in front from the last fling on the inside. David's Lad is next, and then behind these runs Ad Hoc, who's running a big race just off the pace as well. Comes under pressure is Spot the difference with David's Lad out wide. Blowing Wind giving AP McCoy a dream ride, heading off towards the canal turn for the final time, and Bindery on the inside going to jump in the front by a length or so to David's Lad, and then behind these in third place is Blowing Wind with also Kingsmark. With Kingsmark is Ad Hoc, and they're followed by Mealy Moss, who's behind the pace but now being chased over Valentine's End for the final time, and Bindery by a couple of lengths to David's Lad. They fight to jump in the 2002 National. Here's Padder Flanagan.
Yes, approaching the 5th last now. Bindery the leader towards the inside. David's Lad out towards the centre of the track. These two get over that one from What's Up Boys towards the outside, followed them by Blowing Wind as they come on towards the next one, and trying to make ground just in behind his end is Ad Hoc, but the leader over that one was Bindery, and we lost David's Lad there. Ad Hoc is gone, Spot the difference is gone, and Bindery is the leader now as they go on towards the next one from What's Up Boys. Blowing Wind towards the outside, Kingsmark getting there on the inside, the gap Supreme Charm, then towards the outside is Royal Predica, farther back then You're Garden from Celibate on the inside, then Mealy Moss, and behind these then is Birkdale, and Streamstown comes after these, but as they cross the Melling Road now and race on with 2 to jump, it's over to Lee Mackenzie.
And Bindery is leading from What's Up Boys, then Kingsmark and Blowing Wind, and we're not going to get nearly as many finishes as we thought we would.
Leading fancies out of the race. Lyrene Wonder, Marlborough, Bow, Samuel Wilderspin in at the top, Wicked Crack, Ad Hoc and David's Lad.
And Paris Pike was an early casualty too. Bindery leads from the grey. What's Up Boys? There's a gap of 8 lengths centre. Blowing Wind and Kingsmark, who is scrapping out third. Second last in the National, Bindery and What's Up Boys. What's Up Boys slightly hampered by the loose horse on his outside, who comes across the leading pair. It seems to be between these two now as they race towards the final fence now. What's Up Boys stands side Bindery, and they're over together. Blowing Wind is going to come to jump in third. Kingsmark in fourth, then You're a Good and well out of it with Royal Predica. They're on the run for home. What's Up Boys quickens up best. He takes the lead of a couple of lengths. legs. Bindery switches outside to have another crack. It's not over yet. The two race towards the elbow with 2 legs between them. Bindery switching over towards the inside again. What's Up Boys is holding on by a couple of legs. Bindery, one last go at him along the inside rails. What's Up Boys? Bindery races through to snatch the national. Bindery wins. What's Up Boys? The Gallup runs second. And 30 legs to Blowing Wind, who finishes third. Kingsmark the Grey finishes fourth. Just coming up to the line now, Supreme Charm is fifth, then Celibate and You're a Good'un and Royal Predica, and just a couple more to finish. Just coming up to the line now are Streamstown and Birkdale, and that is it. We thought there were going to be more than 20 finishers in the National. There was a lot of grief out there. It took us completely by surprise, but Bindery has won. Jim Collerty has won. He's won not only the Grand National, but also the Cheltenham Gold Cup. What a season.
Okay, we'll leave it there. In the cricket, 3 for 253.
So the main sports news so far today. Bindery has won the Grand National at Aintree. Celtic have been crowned Scottish champions with 5 matches to go. They beat Livingston 5-1. Leicester City have been relegated from the English Premiership after going down 1-0 to Manchester United, who are back on top of the table. And Manchester City have gone up as First Division champions thanks to a 5-1 win over Barnsley. So, because the Grand National overran slightly, we didn't have time for the half-time scores in England and Scotland. Finish at Aintree, won by Bindery. Let's join Julian Armfield. Julian, well done. You mentioned Bindery.
I did, Alex. I thought he was the each-way bet, and it proved to be the case. A brilliant win, a great battling performance by this 8-year-old young horse who could go on to win it again, you know, and ridden by Jim Collerty, who rode the Cheltenham Gold Cup winner, Best Mate.
I mean, that long straight at Aintree, the long final straight where you have to go around the elbow, always makes a difference, doesn't it? Because often when you watch a horse race, you think the leading horse over the final fence is going to win, but that very often isn't the case at Aintree because it's such a long run-in.
And that's what makes the Grand National the Grand National. As they jump the last fence upsides each other, the winner Bindery and What's Up Boys, who finished second, it was clear to everyone What's Up Boys was going better. He sprinted away from Bindery, coming to the elbow, but then Bindery battled back bravely to win the race for Nigel Twiston-Davis, his trainer, who of course won the race in 1998 with Earth Summit.
And what happened earlier on in the race? Because there weren't as many finishers as we thought there would have been.
Well, absolute chaos at the first fence. We haven't heard exactly what happened, but several horses came down, at least half a dozen, and that included my main tip, Paris Pike. Poor old Richard Guest, he won the race last year on Red Marauder and came down at the first this time. A lot went at that fence, and then later on there were quite a few fallers as well, but significantly with 4 to jump. David's Lad, who was going very well, the main Irish hope in the race, came down and brought down Ad Hoc, the favourite. So that left very few to finish, a lot fewer than we expected.
And one of the other favourites, and certainly my tip, Beau, fell early on as well.
Yes, Beau came down. He actually didn't last as long as he did last year. He came down at the 14th, so perhaps he's one of those horses who's never meant to win the National. But this was a fairy tale success for Raymond Mould, the owner. He's been a long-time supporter of the Nigel Twiston-Davis yard. And Bindery, a nice young horse, improving horse. And Jim Collerty, I mean, if you watch the race again, he gave the horse such a wonderful ride. He's a lovely horseman and a delightful man as well. I think everybody here is thrilled that he's pulled off the big race double.
Yes, you've been to Aintree on many occasions, Julian. Where does that race rank in the pantheon of Grand Nationals?
Well, you can't say it was one of the great races simply because there were so few finishers. By my reckoning, there were 10 out of 40. So you can't really say it was one of the great Grand Nationals because an awful lot of the fancied horses were out with the washing at an early stage. Tony McCoy gave Blowing Wind a wonderful ride. Looked as if he was going to win turning in, but then didn't stay, as a lot of people thought he might not. Finished third in the end. And Kingsmark, that was fourth. That ran a great race under Ruby Walsh, who's now got a remarkable record in the race. He's won it on Papillon. He's been 4th on Papillon, having remounted last year, and now 4th on Kingsmark. So follow Ruby Walsh next year.
OK, all thanks to Julian Armfield, and well done, Julian, for picking out Binderee before. Binderee, the winner of the 2002 Grand National. And we can now join Claire Balding, who's in the winner's enclosure.
And here is Jim Cullity, the winning jockey of the Marseille Grand National. He's done the double, getting big congratulations from Norman. He's just got to sit on there, check that his weight of 10 stone 4 is correct, which it is. There'll be a little bit of moisture in there, Michael. Right. Just your immediate reaction, Jim.
They got it? Immediate reaction is obviously he's a brilliant jumper, and I've got a bit blind at the last, and to be fair, I've kind of left it up to him a bit, and he's got me out of jail at the last fence. And then because I had that trouble with the loose horse, I couldn't kick on in front. As a result, after the last, I was actually getting cut for a bit of speed. And the second horse came by us, and for a split second I thought, Jesus, maybe we're beat. And then when I got him on the rail up the run, he's as brave as they come, you know. He's really stuck his head out and tried his hardest.
Well, you're remarkably lucid, having gone through all of that. But for you personally, you've become one of the very few jockeys to do the big race double, the Cheltenham Gold Cup, the Grand National. Look at that grin.
Unbelievable, I tell you. And fair dues to Mark Pittman, he let me get off Brow Joshy at very short notice to ride this horse when it came to spare. And that's awful for Jamie Goldstein. I feel sorry for him now. You know, it's a nightmare having a broken leg, but missing that is absolute worst jockey's nightmare. But fair dues to Mark Pittman, he let me off that horse, and at such short notice, I never thought, you know, I couldn't in my wildest dreams imagine winning the National, and it's just unbelievable now.
It's become reality. Go and enjoy the celebrations. Well done, Jeff.
Well, very happy connections here in the winner's enclosure. I didn't think we'd get to you because Jim was talking so much, but Raymond Mole, the owner, and Nigel Twiston-Davis, the trainer. But Raymond, what a race.
What a race. I mean, I'm still shaking. I couldn't believe it, really. And we all hoped that he would run well on his form this year, and he's just done us proud.
Because he took...
all thanks to this man here, the trainer.
Because he went out in front, and then What's Up Boys went in front. Yeah. Did you think your chance had gone?
I thought we were beaten at one time, but he, as Jim Collotti said, he put his head down and fought back.
So the last few yards were pretty nerve-wracking.
They were indeed, yeah, very.
And that was the winning owner, Raymond Mole, talking to Sue Barker. Earlier you heard Claire Balding talking to the winning jockey, Jim Cullity, winning on Binderee at the Grand National. Well, let's now find out how Australia are getting on in the cricket. Remember, this is the 6th one-day international against...
Began nicely. Commendable is a bit deep in the early...
There was an air of sadness surrounding the 155th renewal of England's Grand National Chase. Earlier in the week, National Hunt Racing had lost one of its most revered figures with the death of the Queen Mother. Many at Aintree used the minute's silence to recall the 1956 edition, when the Royal Matriarch came so close to winning the big race with Devon Lock. Indeed, there was a crowd of 100,000 on hand to witness racing on a good track. The big race was worth £500,000, around $700,000 US. Jockey of the moment, Tony McCoy, had remounted French import Blowing Wind to finish 3rd last year. And the 9-year-old gelding was 8-1 favourite in a field of 40. But the early leader was Wicked Crack. The task was to negotiate 30 fences over 4.5 miles. But the first proved too much for 9 of the runners. 6 fell, including the fancied Paris Pike, top weight Marlborough, and Australian entry Logician. 2 others were brought down, and Red Arc unseated his rider. $40-1 chance for Last Fling then took the lead for much of the race. Sadly, Manx Magic, one of 8 runners for Martin Pipe, had a fatal fall at the 20th fence. And the leader came to grief at the canal turn. 4 out, and Paul Carberry's hopes were dashed when second pick Ad Hoc was brought down by David's Lad.